Well, the leader of the Al-Qaeda terrorist organization, Ayman al-Zawahiri, has joined the anti-Syria campaign. Now, in a video message, he called for the ouster of President Bashar al-Assad. Reports say Al-Qaeda terrorists have sneaked into Syria to join the armed groups operating inside of the country. Al-Qaeda claims that it's the enemy of the U.S. and Israel. Now, many believe that the terrorist group has entered a strategic alliance with Washington against the Syrian government. Despite slogans being against the Israeli regime, Al-Qaeda has never taken any action against Tel Aviv's interests, while it has carried out hundreds of deadly bomb attacks in Muslim countries such as Iraq and Pakistan. Now, the bombings have claimed the lives of large numbers of people. Well, let's switch over to Chicago, joined by author and radio host Mr. Stephen Lendman. Thank you so much for joining us. Your take, Stephen, on this latest news about Al-Qaeda terrorists actually joining in against the Syrian government, fighting against the Syrian government.
Well, I'm not at all surprised because go back to Libya. The so-called Libyan Islamic Fighting Group was composed largely of Al-Qaeda members. At the same time, what's never reported in the West is that Al-Qaeda was a CIA creation, and America uses Al-Qaeda strategically as both enemy and ally. It's amazing. That's exactly what goes on. So America can vilify Al-Qaeda as a terrorist organization, and at the same time, for many years, it's used Al-Qaeda strategically. It did in Libya, and it appears it's doing it again in Syria, just a replication of the Libya model.
But what does that mean exactly, Stephen? How can you be friend and foe at the same time? Or does it mean they're friends but in a disguise of foe? What exactly does this mean?
It's mainly a rhetorical difference. The public stance of my country, the United States, is Al-Qaeda is a terrorist organization. Covertly, Al-Qaeda is used as an ally, as it was done in Libya. It was done in the 1990s. It's being done against Syria. So the rhetoric on the one hand, you have the enemy, and the policy on the other hand, you have the ally. I think that's the basic division.
Okay. Well, in the story that I just read, also there was a reference to the fact that Al-Qaeda, though claiming to be anti-Israeli, has never attacked Israeli interests, but has caused a lot of chaos in Islamic or Muslim countries. What does that say about the organization itself, which claims to be a Muslim organization, but it seems that it attacks many attacks in the Islamic world? So what does that say about this organization itself?
Well, I think it exposes it. It shows that it seems to be more allied with Western interests than the interests of human rights and civil liberties and freedom for people in Muslim states. And I mean, this stuff never makes it to the airways in America, and I mean, that's exactly right. I can't think of any. Israel might claim that some kind of an attack was done by Al-Qaeda. It doesn't mean that it was, but I think, in fact, what you said is exactly right. Al-Qaeda has not gone after Israel. It's not really going after America. It seems to go after the enemies of America in Israel. It's a terrible situation.
And also with Al-Qaeda and this creation per se, hasn't it served the interests, let's say, more of the West and Muslim countries in creating a very negative image about Muslims in general, when, as a matter of fact, actually, they are the antithesis of Islam?
Well, post 9/11 in America, my country declared war on Islam. It doesn't say that, but that's exactly what it did, both abroad and at home. I mean, Muslims have been vilified at home. There are congressional committees that look into investigating Muslims like they're fifth-column threats to America. I mean, Muslims are Muslims are no different than anybody else, but you'd never know it following the U.S. media and the extremists that infest the U.S. Congress and promote hate. And there are other independent organizations with former government officials or people related to them, and they literally fuel hate against Muslim people, characterizing them as terrorists and so on and so forth. Okay. This is a post-9/11 phenomenon that really has gotten completely out of control. And then you extend it to what's going on abroad, and you list all kinds of organizations that have nothing to do with terrorism, like Hezbollah in Lebanon, like Hamas in Gaza, and you call them terrorist organizations because Israel wants the State Department to do this, and when Israel makes a demand of the State Department or the Congress or the administration, they go along. So again, you've got Al-Qaeda on the one hand, you've got other groups, and you've got the worst despotic states in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Yemen. I mean these regimes. I mean, they're all part of this business of going after the enemies of America.
All right, Stephen. Sorry, we're out of time. Otherwise, we would love to talk to you more. Appreciate you being with us from Chicago. Author and radio host, Mr. Stephen Lendman.